No. So that is our warning. This meeting is being recorded. So we love engagement. We want you all to engage. And so by engaging, showing your video and communicating, you're giving consent that we can post this, share this, and pretty much do whatever we want with it. So we are Best Year Ever, and some of us are the Optimized Coaches of Spokane, and we want to welcome you to our 7th event. I cannot believe that we have done, this will be our 7th event, and this one is focused on all things about energy.
Energy,
yes. And so as we get started, I want to introduce everybody that's with us today. So my name is Jessica Salquist. This is my husband, Darren Salquist.
What's up?
And we are owners of Next Level Transformational Coaching. We also love to do the one-on-one, the team group coaching. We have a book club. Darren does personal training, and we also have day jobs also. We graduated from the Optimized program this last year, and we are also Optimized Coaches of Spokane.
We're also in the 2nd year.
And we are in the 2nd year also. And then I would like to introduce Tanis. Tanis is a leader among leaders. She's also an Optimized coach. She's also in her 2nd year and part of the Optimized Coaches of Spokane. She is a quadruple trifecta Spartan finisher, I would say, which includes, I think we're figuring out 100 miles just in that quadruple trifecta, which is tons of obstacles. How many obstacles? I didn't times that either.
Oh, jeez.
But she also is a 2-time Ultra Beast finisher also. So welcome, Tanis. And then also Michael and Holly Calhoun are our special guests for this month. And so thank you so much for joining us. They have just finished a degree together. Michael graduated from the Optimized program last year. Holly is in it this year.
In it to win it.
In it to win it. She's going to graduate this year. And then also they have a business they started called The Fundamental Living. And they also are doing some podcasts and getting some of those things ready and going. So super excited to have all of us together. And so what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about all things energy. So how do we create it? How do we maintain it? And how do we sustain it? And how do we stay motivated so that we have good energy? We're not just going to talk about physical energy. We're going to talk about emotional energy. So today I'm going to talk more about that emotional energy, positive, negative. Darren's going to talk more about the movement and the actual motivation. Tanis is going to talk about the energy identity and food as your fuel for energy. And Holly and Michael are going to talk more about the energy protocols and some of their favorite ones. And it's real hard to narrow down to just a few, but they're going to share some of those with us today. So thank you. I see Raina joining us also. Hi, Rosie. Hey, Raina. And thank you so much. So one thing I want to point out too is there is going to be a file that's going to be added to the Zoom call. It's also on the Facebook page and our group. So pull that up at the end and we're going to all do an activity together. All right. So as we get started, whew, it's a hot one in here. As we get started, I'm going to start with that energy of how to maintain, sustain, and create it, right? We want to create that positive energy. So my focus this month was about that emotional, mental energy. How do we get mental clarity? How do we decipher the difference between the positive and the negative? So how can I create that? How can I maintain that? Those are questions that we're going to keep answering throughout this whole 60 minutes. So the best way for me to incorporate that positive energy, hi, greetings.
She's on mute. You're on mute.
Yes. This is that's probably William Barney. Hi there. So we're just getting started here. Welcome. There you go. There you go. You can have your webcam on or your webcam off, whatever you'd like to do. So part of that energy is making sure. Hi, Barney. Making sure that we are celebrating those tiny wins and that we are not shaming ourselves, that we don't have guilt, And amongst all the things that I'm going to share, I'm going to include all of those things with the things that I'm going to share next. And one of the things that I love the most is the 4 agreements. I can't tell you a better way to maintain positive energy and to exclude the negative energy than to be mindful with your 4 agreements. So I'm going to share that, and that is a book called from Don Miguel Ruiz, and I'm going to sprinkle some experience and awesomeness throughout this whole conversation. So the 4 agreements is a practical guide to personal freedom. I also see it as a map or a guide to my bliss, my creation of positive energy, and my mental clarity. And so we so often clutter our minds with so much negativity and unneeded thoughts and beliefs. So these are some 4 steps and actions that we can eliminate that, because we don't need that distraction, right? So let's go through the first one. The first one is being impeccable with your word. And I want to add on to that is being impeccable with your thoughts also. It's not just about what comes out of your mouth, it's what we think. And most of the time, we're thinking more than we're speaking. In my case, I might be speaking more, but we're thinking more. And so it's really easy to go down a rabbit hole of negativity and think negative thoughts. So words and thoughts towards others and towards yourself. This means, again, the no shame, the no guilt, no complaining, no criticizing, no gossip, not getting involved in that drama, which is really useless talk. It's useless. What benefit are you getting from that? It's useless thoughts too. So you cannot have a positive thought and a negative thought at the same time. It's impossible. So what are you going to choose? It's your choice, and you can make that choice and flip that switch when you start going down that negative road, that you decide that you're going to change it up. And you can combat that with gratitude. You can combat that with deep breaths. You can combat that with a lot of other things. So these thoughts, these beliefs and actions deplete our energy. They are distractions. I'm going to keep saying that. They deplete our energy and they are distractions. So how productive can I actually be if I'm consumed with gossip or talking about somebody else or spending time complaining about someone else? I then therefore become less productive. So for example, in a work setting, when you're at work and you start hearing people starting to gossip or complaining about someone else, you have that choice to engage or not engage. And that's an area where we want to create good energy, right? We want to put off good energy, and we want people to know that that's not something that we want to engage in. So we're going to steer clear from that. That is an example of being impeccable with your words, because you're just choosing not to engage, and then you're not distracted. Then you become more productive. I see a lot of groups when we could be closer together, sit in groups, and then they start talking about other people, and that's just not something that it'd be productive to spend your time doing. So celebrate when you catch yourself flipping that switch and turning the tides to where even if it starts coming out of your mouth, you can stop in mid-sentence and say, oh, never mind, and turn, walk away, say thank you, see you later, and then celebrate that. Celebrate those tiny wins that you are being successful with your energy, right? We want to have good energy. So number 2, this is one that I work on frequently, is don't take things personally. Most people who have negative opinions of others do not have a very good opinion of themselves. So remember that. Why are we taking it personal when it really has nothing to do with us? I'm going to say that again. Most people who have negative opinions of others do not have a good opinion of themselves. So I want you to think about that deeply and reflect on that. If you are speaking negatively about others, what kind of opinion do you have in regards to yourself? Why would I want to have a negative opinion of somebody else? And why would I want to share it? That's sacred energy to me that I'm depleting because I am spewing negativity from myself. This is a great time to internally reflect in regards to yourself. And do I do that? And that's okay if you do. It's just about being aware and flipping that switch and not doing that anymore and not wasting that energy. So these actions also deplete us and drain our energy. And one of the quotes I know Darren has mentioned before.
Which is that? Which one?
Deepak Chopra.
Oh, what?
Yes, Deepak Chopra. He loves this one. So, and I like to repeat this as an affirmation or as a mantra. I am totally independent of the good or bad opinions of others, right? You are independent of the good or bad opinions of others.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. And so when I first read that, I was like, well, good. I mean, isn't that a positive thing? But at the same time, it brings me back to social media. And when we rely on those positive likes, those loves, the cares, the laughs, the emojis, the GIFs, the comments, that reminds me of, I don't do it so much anymore, but you go back and you try to feel fulfilled by someone else's opinion, right?
Yeah.
When we should be fulfilling our own selves and driving ourselves to be inspired by ourselves, not by someone else's thought about us.
Yeah, and there's even research being done right now on Instagram and Facebook and all the social media stuff about people put things out there just for the likes. I think there's even a book out there about I'm doing it for the likes. And that's the thing, you know, when we post things, we go out there and we keep going back like, oh, how many people liked it this time? Like, am I gonna get a PR on this post?
Right. So we get let down constantly, right? So you can't take it personal, because if you post something and nobody likes it, it doesn't have anything to do with you. So
Yeah.
trying to keep that balanced in your life, that will help you increase that energy, right? And you're not spending all that time going back to look at your posts. Number 3, don't make assumptions. We'll be wrapping these up really quick. So what would it be like if you assumed positivity instead of negativity? What would that be like? Or what if you experienced something, instead of making an assumption, you asked a clarifying question? How would that feel? Instead of me assuming something in possible negativity, I ask a clarifying question. It takes courage to do that. It takes courage to not assume. And it's very important that we get clarifying information so that we have the information we need and we can continue on. And we're not taking all of that emotional energy, wondering, creating stories. I know that it's super easy to create this elaborate story in your mind of why someone did something and it has to do with you. Probably doesn't have to do with you or me. So keeping that in mind, out of all the assumptions that we have made in our lives, how many were correct or brought value to our lives and energy? So be courageous, ask. And number 4 is the biggest one, and it incorporates all of these, is always do your best. Always do your best. We're not going to be 100% on it all the time. Know that your energy is going to sway. It's going to be up. It's going to be down. It's going to change, and you're not going to ever be perfect. But the goal is, right? That's why we're here on this earth, is to always do your best so that we can close that gap between who we are now and who we're capable of being. So don't get down on yourself because you're not perfect. Just know that you're trying every single day. So I'm going to wrap up that part, and I'm going to hand it over to Darren, and he's going to talk about motivation and movement when it comes to energy.
Yeah, so when we talk about energy and, you know, activation, you want to activate your true potential, you need energy. In order to show up as your best, you need energy. So that's just something that we can't just show up and be drained, not get a lot of sleep, and figure that we're going to show up as our best. You know, you look at professional athletes. They're not going to go out and party the night before the big game, for the Super Bowl or the World Championships or a big UFC fight. They have a routine that they're doing that's getting dialed in to make sure that they show up as their best. So motivation, movement is all things that are incorporated in that. And right now I'm going to ask you, do you want to be entertained or do you want to be energized? So when we talk about do you want to be entertained or being energized, one thing I'm talking about is your night process. When you go to bed, 1 hour before you go to bed, are you staying up late? Are you sacrificing sleep to sit there and look at Facebook or watch Netflix or watch some movie that's on TV when all this stuff is recorded, you guys? All this technology, all this stuff that we have in front of us is at a click of a button. And what do? We sacrifice our sleep so we can stay up late and we can binge watch. What was Dexter, right? We did that for a while when Dexter was real popular.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we stayed up till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. Before we started practicing, we knew anything about optimizing and really focusing on our energy. And so there's those other things that are out there that people are binge watching. Maybe some people binge watch The Last Dance, which is another awesome, probably documentary on Michael Jordan and just that whole process. So that's what you have to ask yourself. Do you want to be entertained or do you want to be energized? And then how are you going to show up the next day? We've talked about this before, that your morning starts the night before. And that's where you have to break it down so you can be prepared for the morning, get everything dialed in that last hour before you go to bed, get yourself prepared for the next day. So when you wake up, like today, this morning, on Thursday mornings, I'm here at the gym at 5 a.m. So that means I get up about 3 a.m., 3:30. Today was 3:30 because I got everything prepared. I went to bed a little bit late last night, not because I was being entertained, just because I was working on my truck. I'm putting a new aluminum radiator in my truck. So I had to spend a little time doing that. And then we had to find our cat. The cat was out there, Jessica's cat was out there prowling for moles. But anyways, I digress. So what we want to talk about is movement, the energy to have right now. You can see the energy that I have. I'm still energized right now, even though I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Yeah. So what I want to look at is opportunities to move. So throughout this day that I've been here at the gym, I'm always looking at movement. When I'm coming down, I'm doing any work. When I'm sitting down, I have a timer on my watch. I have a Garmin watch, and after so much time, it tells me to go out and move. So right here at CoreFit, we're on a block, so I can go walk around the block. I can go get a quarter mile in. I can clear my thoughts. If I'm getting tired, when we're getting tired, it's lack of blood flow to our brain. And that's what we're getting tired, right? Because we don't have that oxygen to our brain to help keep us stimulated and to be our best. So one thing I'm gonna ask you guys that are out there that are watching this, I'll put a 7-day challenge out there to you. Could you, starting tomorrow, every 20 minutes, just stand up, just set your timer. If you're sitting down doing nothing, set your timer every 20 minutes. You're gonna get up and just move. Just stand up, sit down. Move your arms, move your shoulders, move your legs, just do whatever. If you're in the kitchen and you're cooking or you're outside doing work, then fine, you're moving. Yeah. But what I'm asking for is if you're at work, or look at Tannis, they're doing a little dance. I know what that was.
That was aerobics.
Yeah, aerobics, right? So OTMs, we're talking about opportunities to move.
Yes.
Every 20 minutes, if you're being stagnant and you're sitting down doing good, I'm sure you're doing deep work, but we need oxygen to our brain to make sure we stay energized, to make sure we're doing our best. So I'll put that challenge out there to you for 7 days. Set your timer every 20 minutes. When you're sitting down, boom, get up and move. Just stand up, sit down. That's all we're asking for right now. It's that simple, right?
And I do better work when I'm making my movement throughout the day. My OTMs, I can focus longer on the things I need to focus.
Yeah. And if you have the ability to go outside and walk, tomorrow here in Spokane, it's going to be 103, but that's okay. Enjoy this warm weather right now, because we know pretty soon it's going to get cold. Yeah. That's what I'm not going to get into that story, but everybody always complains about the weather. No matter if it's hot or cold, right? When are you going to be happy? It's either snowing or it's sunshine. Hey, be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you get to feel the warmth. Be happy that you get to feel the coldness, and that you have the energy to go out there and do something with it, right? So what I'm going to look at for you guys doing, we can be active and we can be sedentary at the same time. You could go work out for an hour in the morning and then go to work and sit for 8 hours. So the challenge would be there as well. We talked about this before. Is it better to walk 3 miles at one time, or would it be better to walk 1 mile 3 different times throughout the day? So then you're still getting 3 miles in, but what are you doing? You're building movement in through your day. And that would be much more beneficial to you to walk 3 separate times for 1 mile versus just go for a 3 mile walk for one part of your day. Okay. That's the one thing. The other thing is movement increases your happiness. Just by moving, that increases your happiness. Now we talk about movement and exercise sometimes being a tool for weight loss. It's not a tool for weight loss. What's a tool for weight loss is nutrition. And that's a whole nother topic. But movement is a tool for well-being and happiness. And think about the days that when you're sedentary and you're in the house, you haven't done a lot, and you've been sitting on the couch all day. How motivated are you? How likely are you to go and do something? And do you feel good? Do you feel like you accomplished something? So that's the one thing to kind of focus on. Focus on your energy. Focus on when you're moving and how you feel. Yeah. And when we exercise, that is a tool for well-being. So that's what it's all about, you guys. I'm going to leave you that again. Do you want to be energized, or do you want to be entertained?
Energized.
So, Jess, take it back.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Holly and Michael.
Well, that's a bad idea, but here we go. So we're going to roll right off of that, because we're talking about energy protocols. Energy protocols are basically the things that you develop for yourself to energize yourself, to recover, to do all the things that you need to do to become the best most energetic version of you. These energy protocols, they help us oscillate throughout the day. Jessica mentioned how we oscillate. We're going to go from a high state to a low state, and we're going to want to work back and forth in between those states. And so these energy protocols are more or less systems. There's a lot of talk about systems. There's a lot of talk about algorithms, but essentially this talk could be considered optimizing energy protocols. You could call it energy systems, or if you really want to, energizing algorithms. I kind of like that one because what they ultimately come down to is knowing who you are and how your body reacts to certain events. Energy protocols are a developed set of tools, techniques, mindsets, anything that get you to that state that you need to be at the moment. I've got mine, Holly's got hers, but what this comes back to is something that Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, talks about. He talks about how you want to create systems that ultimately allow you to live a happier, better life. John Maxwell backs that stuff up by saying you need to develop goals. But ultimately, is it about the goals or is it about the systems that help you achieve those goals? And then you've got the quote from Atomic Habits, Mr. James Clear, where he says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So these systems, these protocols that we're creating for ourselves, they're cultivated through practice, reflection, and basically living your life like a scientist. Try something. Did that work? Did that achieve the goal that we wanted? If not, boot it out. Try something new. I talked about cold baths in the last energy protocol session that we did. Yeah. They don't work for me in the wintertime in the morning. I used to do them in the morning. I'm a skinny dude. I'm literally a popsicle the rest of the day if I do that. As much as they make me feel energized, that doesn't work for me. I got to reboot it. So it's kind of fun to play with these protocols because now I've shifted it to the PM, to where I drive home in my hot car. It's 100 and whatever, 5 or 6 degrees here today. I don't drive with the windows down. I drive home with the windows up. I got no AC on. I'm burning in the car. Get out of the car, get into a cold bath. That helps reboot me, energize me so that I can be awesome for the children. Now, the question is, what kind of protocols do you have?
Meditation is one of my go-to protocols, especially if I'm feeling mentally drained, mentally and emotionally drained. I will go straight to meditation. It helps me clear my mind and just reset and refocus. Another one of my protocols, especially in the morning, is I get up and I clean. That helps me energize. I cannot stand clutter, anything like that in the house. During the night, we have the tendency to have our little magnesium drinks. And so I wake up in the morning and there's cups all over the place. That brings everything down for me. So I get up, I clean, and that really helps give me my boost in my morning.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
We're waving at your little one.
Colin's over here.
Yeah, you know, they sneak in. It doesn't matter what we do. They find a way to sneak in and throw me off kilter. But yeah, protocols, right? Mm-hmm. So this kind of little mini talk that we're doing here, we're going to try to break it down into theory, which we've covered. We've covered some practice. Now, what we ultimately want to do or become masters of whatever we happen to take on. And to become a master of anything, you're going to fail over and over and over. So I usually like to have a couple tools that I can use to help myself turn it around. One of the tools that I really dig is from somebody that I can't remember right now, but the genesis is this. The worse you feel, the more you have to do it. Like if I don't feel like getting home and getting in a cold bath, that's a reverse indicator that I got to jump in that thing and do it and prove to myself that I can do it. Do you have a tool or anything that you use if you're just not feeling like you're going to skip the protocol?
Burpees. I will force myself to do some burpees. I'm not a big fan of burpees. So that's what I'll do. If I feel myself skipping, I will make myself do some burpees, and then I will just get me right back on track.
That'll instantly energize you.
Yes, it will. I'm actually getting to play around a little bit more with my protocols. Now that I'm not in school, I get to revise my masterpiece day. I get to take the 3 hours of the day that I would have throughout the day to do reading or writing or working on assignments or something. I get to take that and put it towards something else. So right now my protocols are a little wavy because I get to experiment again on what do I want to do now? What's gonna be the next thing to fill this area that I used to have to just dedicate to school all the time? Part of that is going to be now we're going to start homeschooling our kids. So there we go. Coming up with some new protocols for being able to do that. Make sure that we're all on track and we're all doing what we need to be doing. And so, yeah, I get to rework it.
Yeah. So another tool I use is that we want to remember that we're shining a light here. We're not bringing a hammer to the party. This is an optimized thing. Jessica and Darren mentioned it earlier. We don't want to beat ourselves up, right? If you fall off the wagon and you miss your protocols or you just skip them all together like we did last weekend, shine a light on that, see why it happened, and then, reflect back on it and work. And since we're talking about failures, we might as well continue on that track. We did graduate from college last weekend and it was like, hey, woo, all right, let's celebrate.
And kids went off to grandma's, and what did we do?
We drank. We completely missed our digital sunset. I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up at 11:30, decided to turn on the TV where I continually watched some Michael Jordan and the Last Dance documentary until 1:30 in the morning. And lo and behold, guess what? I felt like crap the next day. It was absolute trash. And it was hard for me to be myself, the highest version of myself, as we were out traveling about, hanging out with my mom and my dad, hanging out with my in-laws, getting a new kitty. Like, I was trying to be my best self, but it was really hard to be that best version of me. And it's because I fell off the wagon completely. And
you wound up getting such a bad migraine that next morning. He was completely toast that next night. It was not pretty.
But on Monday, I bet you guys pulled it all back together.
We did.
Yeah.
We remembered, it's kind of nice falling off the wagon every now and then because it reminds you of why you stick to your protocols, why you even started doing what you're doing now, why we're eating healthy, why we're sleeping and making sure that we're getting at least 8 hours of sleep every night. It's so important to have that reminder every now and then.
Yeah. So that's
I think that's good though also that you took a moment for yourselves to celebrate, even though you kind of got off your protocols a little bit, but it's also a reminder to how can you still celebrate, but yet still stay in that parameter because potentially what the outcome of that is. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing is going through this of one, allowing yourself certain opportunities and certain times to say, hey, you know what? I am going to stay up late tonight. I don't have anything to do tomorrow. As long as I can sleep until 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning if I want to, because, the kids are gone. So that's not something that you guys get to do often. So this is something I think where you take that time for yourselves as well to say, hey, you know what? Tomorrow's going to be just an easygoing day, and it is what it is. And then we'll pick it back up on the next day.
That was the decision.
Yeah.
And I paid for it. And we recovered the night before because we doubled down on our nightly protocols. So I fell off the wagon, promptly got back on the wagon because, as Tynan says from Superhero by Habits, you can skip once, but skipping twice is suicide habit. So we got right back on the wagon after we celebrated absurdly and moved on. Tanis can take off if she wants to.
All right, Tanis. Well, let me unmute myself. Jeez. So what we're talking about here with energy is creating it, sustaining it, and maintaining it, right? So I kind of want to bring that back to the identity piece, your energy identity. First of all, you got to establish it. In my previous videos, we talked about
how I write down that I'm an athlete every day or a healthy deviant because that seems kind of naughty and fun and risky. I don't know. So, you know, by doing that every single day, I'm establishing the identity that I'm going to think of myself that way. So when you think of yourself a certain way, like a good example is, I can't do that. You're never going to be able to do it. If you continue to tell yourself that and identify with can't, you're never going to be able to do it. So you have to identify with what you are now and what you want to become, how you see yourself in the future. So establishing it first and foremost is the most important thing. And then how do you maintain it or sustain it? For sustaining an identity for me, it's repetition. I write it down every day. I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete. I'm a runner. I'm a healthy deviant. You know, like just over and over again. And, you know, ultimately you maintain it by believing in it and believing in yourself and believing who you identify with in energy and movement. And it goes back to, you know, Darren saying, trying something for 7 days. Try it for 7 days. Do this identity thing for 7 days and see what happens. It's really awesome. So on that note, just remember, either you can or you can't. It's just what you believe in. It's what you say. I either can or I can't. Every day I'm going to say I can, even sometimes when I feel a little insecure about that. But I can. So I don't know how else to really kind of drill that in from a creation, sustaining, and maintaining. It's just repetition. Ultimately, every day you have to identify who you're going to be. I had a boss one time tell me when I first started in my career, I was like, geez, I just feel really grumpy today. I feel like I have no energy and everybody's out to get me. And he said, well, you choose your attitude. You choose your mental process every morning. You choose to believe that. And boy, that really sunk in with me. And it's something that I think about every day. So if I get up and I'm feeling, you know, unmotivated or whatever, I have to like really flip that switch and say, no, today you're going to be an athlete. Or, you know, like today I have an injury and I decided to have a recovery day. I knew my body needed more time. And so today I was a recovering athlete. So if that, you know, you can identify with however you want to be, but just know the minute you put that identity in your head, that's who you're going to be. So think about it that way. As far as like the food for energy piece of it, food for energy is really interesting, and it is a process and a system like Michael and Holly were talking about. It's a process and a system that is very individual. And I have food allergies. I have been on this food for energy journey for probably, let's say seriously, for the last 5 years, just trying to figure out what makes me move, what gives me the energy to get through each day from a food standpoint. And really, you just got to dial it in and figure it out. I found out I had food allergies. I eliminated those. I found out too much carbs sometimes makes me really tired. So I've dialed that in. So basically what I've done over the years for me personally is I've built this kind of balance that works for me. And I know when I stick something in my mouth that is not going to fall into that balance, I am going to have repercussions. Good example, I had some ice cream yesterday or the day before, and I've been tired since. So sugar is not something that I've had in my diet much lately. And I was like, I went on this big hike. I can have some ice cream. And no, I can't have the ice cream. Just no ice cream. And granted, it was dairy free, but the issue was the sugar in it. So once you dial that in, how do you sustain that food for energy process? For me, I create a meal plan. I actually know my portion sizes for each meal. I know it sounds rigid and crazy and it sounds ridiculous. And I remember thinking all of this was ridiculous. but it really does work if you're really trying to eat for fuel and nutrition and health, which I've decided in, you know, my body is my vessel. It's my temple. I am going to use this body until I'm 212 years old. I think so. So I really want to make sure that what I put in it works for my body. So, you know, I create a meal plan. I know the types of foods I can eat daily, and I venture off. I have a different meal plan for the weekend because I have different activities I do. So it doesn't have to be rigid every day. It can be different every day. You just have to kind of figure out those whole good foods that give you energy. I can tell you when I eat processed foods, I go right down the tube. My body just doesn't like them. Your body may like them. I don't know. Like I said, every meal plan is different for everyone, and everyone eats differently than everybody else. Once you create that meal plan, you're looking into maintaining your food for fuel, food for energy. You know, I actually work off a calendar sometimes. I sometimes eat the same thing every single day because it's easy. I'm a little lazy that way. But it works, and I stay on track most of the time. When I don't plan and I don't have meals or food prepped to eat is when I really make bad choices in food, and then the next thing I know, my energy tanks. And it's usually a 3-day tank after I eat something bad. It takes me about 3 days to recover. Michael and Holly can probably attest to that because they, you know, had their fun night. And for 3 days, I'm sure, yeah, the next day you instantly had a migraine. You struggled being your best self that day. And then it just kind of like, you have to kind of almost, it's almost like a 3-day hangover sometimes when I'm off track. So just kind of recapping on everything, you know, you have to, with your identity, you establish it and just repeat it over and over and over again. You could be your best self every day. You just have to tell yourself that's what you're going to be. And yeah, we all fall off. We're all like, ooh, I didn't respond to that very well, or gosh, I didn't get to the gym, or I didn't go out and get movement. And like Michael said, it's okay to skip once, but don't skip twice. Just remind yourself that's who you want to be. That's who you are. So go be it. And with food, just find your path. It will take time. I'm not a nutritionist. So again, all of this stuff really just is dialed in for my body and myself and my health. I have food allergies that affect the way I eat, and you know, there could be intolerances in your life that you don't know about. You know, if you want good meal plans, I found out a lot of this stuff by doing the Whole30. I did 30 days, no grains, no sugars, whole foods only. And then when I started adding things back in, I really realized, oh, that my body doesn't like that, you know? So anyway, you know, figure out what gives you energy, create a meal plan, create a calendar, and just stick to it. And if you fall off, you fall off. Just get back on.
Yeah. Hey, Tanis, I got a question. So when you talk about your identity and stuff, and with you writing it down daily and sitting at this, have you found, now that you've been writing this down pretty consistently for a long time, that this helps you make decisions at times to be that best version of you because of the identity that you have put in front of yourself?
Yeah, especially being the athlete and the healthy deviant. A good example is I have a tendency to be kind of lazy in my workouts naturally. I just am like, I think I'm just gonna stay behind and do what I want back here and just be by myself and everybody else can go ahead. Yeah, when I write down I'm an athlete or a fast runner or something like that, I guarantee you I go out there and I give it 100%, 110%. And it's weird. It's like this weird switch that goes off in my head because I actually visualize the words that I wrote down. I'm like, oh, I told myself I was going to be a fast runner today. I can't be in the back, you know, lollygagging and looking at flowers. I got to go. So yes, and when I say I'm going to be a healthy deviant, I guarantee you I do not go off my eating plan.
Yeah.
I write it down, and for some reason it just triggers that response for me to follow through with what I said I was going to do.
Yeah. And the other thing I would take note of too is that you've been going through this process with some of your food allergies and stuff like that, to where you've been working on your diet, getting better, cleaning it up. So you recognize the foods that have that ill effect on you, but at times it's still hard because there's still those pleasures of those foods that, like, damn, that ice cream is, you know, or it's pretty good, or like, okay, maybe this one time, yeah, because we just went on this big hike and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe I will have a little bit of ice cream, but then later, you know, maybe it does hit you like, damn it, this, you know, I forgot how that made me feel. Like, is it really worth it at times? So, but
Yeah.
I think the thing with what you're saying is that, again, it's just you're chipping away at it, and this, the longer that, what I'm hearing from you is the longer that you continue this, the easier some of those choices like are to make, to where I don't really need that, because I'm sure the ice cream has been far and few between, but every once in a while it does kind of put itself up there and say, you know, hey, how about now?
Yeah, I haven't had ice cream in about a year.
Yeah, yeah.
So that just tells you I was in the grocery store at a weak moment in my mind.
Yeah, but we also, you know, we talked about this last night a little bit, is allowing and giving yourself permission to do
Mhm.
something and
Right.
not beat yourself up about it, right? I think that's a huge kind of emotional, mental component of it is, hey, I'm going to give my permission to, I taste Darren's ice cream sometimes, so I give myself permission to have a couple bites of his ice cream. I don't want my own because I know I'll annihilate it.
I try to not give her permission.
Right. He's like, are you sure? That's the only time he's like, doesn't want me to have his food. Is like, are you sure you want this?
Yeah, I don't think you want this.
But then it becomes what you're saying is that automatic, like your, the protocols that Holly and Michael are talking about, what you're talking about, Tanis, it just becomes automatic. And there may be days where we don't get to it. Like when we're waking up at 3 o'clock and we got to leave the house in half an hour and there's stuff you got to do. We're not going to have our best day is not going to be simultaneously the same every time. Like I wrote in here, is my best day looks different each day. And I have to be, I don't have to be anything, but I choose to be okay with it. And I love the what you said about being a scientist, Michael, because we're scientists. We are chipping away at what works for us all the time. We're trying out new things constantly when it comes to sustaining and maintaining and just creating energy. And then we keep in our wheelhouse the things that we love, the things that make us feel good, the things that fill us up emotionally. So I love all the things that you guys talked about because they just really build, you know, the building the energy, sustaining and maintaining it and sustaining it is really something that we have to work at. I mean, we talk about practicing it all the time. So we all know the theory. None of us don't know the theory. It's about practicing, repetition, so that we can become masters, right? Anything else you want to add to that, Tanis?
No, that's it. I mean, I do want to just point out that, yeah, I ate the ice cream and I'm okay with that. It's not the end of the world for me. It was delicious.
Yeah.
It had avocados in it. So there was some vegetables. And it also reminded me, like, you know, having that break in your protocols, Holly and Michael, it reminded me why I don't eat it. So, yeah, but I gave myself permission. So.
That's awesome. So as we're wrapping up, as you watch this back, we want you to know that we don't want to do any kind of presentation or workshop without having some kind of action item for you. So you'll see in the invites, there's also a link and a file in the invites, and also in the chat, there's also a link that Tanis just posted again. And this is basically going to be about how you're going to create the energy and you're going to maintain it and you're going to sustain it. And I committed to completing this activity, which I'm going to take a picture of it and post it on our live on Facebook so you guys can see it. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to pull that up. So I'm going to share my lovely screen. I'm going to pull up this activity, which is just going to get you guys motivated into creating these awesome behaviors, goals, whatever you want to call them. So can you guys see that?
Not yet. Well,
Who's on the Zoom right now? It'll slowly catch up. There, it's on Facebook now. So this is your to-do. This is what we want to help you work through, because it's not about the big, huge goals that are like so daunting and we don't know how we're going to get there. There's a lot of processes for that. But let's start simple, right? How are we going to create energy? How are we going to maintain it? How are we going to sustain it? So imagine committing to one thing, one small thing that would increase your life and internal happiness for 7 days, okay? We used to do these challenges all the time and say, let's do 30-day challenge. Well, half the people or more would fall off the challenge and not complete it, because that was, they might have realized halfway through it that that's not actually important to them.
or even they fall off day 15 and not give themselves credit and celebrate that they just did 14
Yeah.
days
Yeah,
of this habit. And
Yeah.
they focus on the one day they fell off, and then they are upset with themselves and then don't continue. What's
Yeah.
awesome about the 7 days is, let's say you rock it for 4 or 5 days and you happen to fall off on the 6th day. Hey, great. You know what? Tomorrow's day 1. We can start new with another 7 days and then make it. Figure out, what did we do wrong? Why did we fall off? We just learned how not to do something. And let's start tomorrow again, day 1, and let's go after that 7 days.
that's right. So we are going to create this as a 7-day. So if you love it, if it brings value to you, then go another 7 days and then keep building that momentum, building that compound effect to commit to another 7 days of something that you want to continue. So before, like as we're talking, think of something that you would like to set a goal, an action, or a behavior. And we want to make sure that you're celebrating every step along the way. So for example, something small that I wrote down is that I am going to commit to, for the next 7 days, that I'm going to give gratitude and thank my spouse each day.
Yay.
Okay? Each day I'm going to verbally thank him for something he did, something he said. So think about something that's very small that you can actually be successful and do for the next 7 days. Other ideas are things when it has to do with energy, is that you're going to walk each morning around the block. Just make that. If you're not doing that, then start that. Or you're going to actually eat breakfast and you don't eat breakfast, or you don't eat all day. I see some cute
Let's see.
princess from Barney and some love letters on there. Those are super cute. You're writing love letters. And that's one of my examples too for love, is like writing a love letter to someone you care about for 7 days. It doesn't mean you have to keep doing it, but let's start building those brain connections, those waves in our head that we can commit to something and do it consistently for at least 7 days and then build on top of it. So pick something out that you really, really want to do. So as you pick something out, then you're going to ask yourself these questions. Is it important to you? If you circle yes, awesome. Is it simple? If you circle yes, great. Will it bring value to your life? Yes, awesome. And then will it create happiness? So if you can answer yes to all of those 4 questions, then that's what would be a great idea, task, action, behavior to do and commit for the next 7 days. So if you answered yes, as the instructions say, to the questions above, now you can create some awesomeness by creating an action plan. So the next question there is, can you commit to one thing, your goal, for the next 7 days? You're going to circle yes. This is all about writing it down, right? Making that connection so that you're being accountable for this. Then you're going to write down, what will you commit to for the next 7 days? And then here's where the action plan begins. Write down 1 to 5 steps. Some of the steps could be super simple and you might not need a lot, but 1 to 5 steps, how you're going to make that happen. Now, I will give you an example of mine. I said my step 1 is I'm going to wake up with gratitude for my spouse. I'm just going to wake up with gratitude. So when I wake up, I'm going to think about that. My step 2 is when I get in bed at night, I'm going to write down my gratitude towards my spouse. Step 3, before I fall asleep, I'm going to tell him what I wrote down, what I was grateful for. And then I added in step 4, I kiss goodnight. And step 5, I'm going to fall fast asleep, happier than I was before because I shared my gratitude. So who wins?
We both win.
He wins, I win, we celebrate because we're winners, right? So the last part of this to do, this challenge, I don't want to call it a challenge, but this activity so that you can build some awesome energy is you have a place down at the bottom to sign it. Let's seal the deal, make the commitment, sign your name, and date it. And you'll have this to look back to encourage you to continue through those 7 days. And then again, celebrate every single day you do it. High five each other. Figure out what you want to do. Thank you, Tanis, for the high five, right? We got to celebrate our wins. We don't want to be getting down on ourselves and feeling guilty and shameful. If you miss it, that's okay. Wake up in the morning. I would wake up in the morning and say, hey, I forgot to give you your gratitude, so I'm going to give it to you now, right? So Eleanor Roosevelt, the quote at the very bottom of this says, it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. I love that, because if I'm going to take all my energy to wish something, I might as well plan it and do it, right? So that's the activity today. I would love to open it up to Barney if you want to unmute yourself and tell us something that you would want to challenge yourself to do for the next 7 days, or what you have done.
You want to take off the screen?
I think you're unmuted.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been doing it already. I've been so energized.
Yes.
The other day I woke up early and hit it before the got too hot out. 6.4 miles.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yesterday it was too hot, so I did 7 miles in the house.
Oh, wow.
In the house, upstairs, downstairs,
Oh, my goodness.
living room, dining room. So 7 miles. I decided this heat is not going to beat me.
No.
So this morning I got up and I was out mowing, trimming. And that first day that I did 6.4 miles, I also trimmed 300 yards along the road. And so I think I was a little dehydrated. And so I felt it when I got back that, boy, my energy level is just crazy.
Yeah.
And my sleep has improved a lot since our discussions. You know, I really tried, if I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes I used to wake up all the time at 3 because I had to be at work at 3, and like somebody. And so I have a habit of waking up at that time. And I wouldn't go back to sleep. I'd be watching news on the East Coast, or now I just go back to sleep. So my sleep has really improved a lot. Plus I'm hydrating more.
Wow.
First thing in the morning, I'm drinking water with ground flaxseed, because ground flaxseed feeds your brain. And so you rehydrate your brain and you feed it at the same time. And so it's a good way to start your morning.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling so good. Plus I've been juicing. So green juice, berry juice, all kinds of mixtures with beets and broccoli and alfalfa sprouts. And so I've been hitting it pretty good. It's been a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. I love it.
Stuff.
I'll make a batch for 2 days. And today I just finished off the berry, blueberry, blackberries. It had some green stuff in there and a beet and just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever I have, I throw in there.
Sounds awesome.
No, it sounds awesome. I mean, you sound like you're on track. You're making things work. You're not letting the heat stop you. You're wearing out your carpet. Is that part of the ploy to get new carpet with all the miles that you're doing in there?
Yeah, probably. I'm probably going to have a deer path, you know.
Yeah, right. Well, and like Michael put a comment in the chat. It sounds like you need to celebrate right now. So
Yeah.
I think we should celebrate Barney for kicking bum. I think you're inspiring all of us to, you know, create that energy. And you just shared with us that you making healthy choices and juicing and getting good sleep is giving you so much energy. Your movement is giving you more energy, and you're not going to let the heat stop you. So you're definitely inspiring us in that I have no excuse when it's hot. I did do that today and yesterday. I had to work in town today, and I went outside walking at lunch, and I was just like zombie walking out there. But I was like, no, I said, I got to move. I have to move. I'm sitting at my desk doing a training. I have to move. So you're so inspiring, Barney.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Barney. And the big thing I want to talk about too on that paperwork is the key word there is commit. And we've talked about this before. You can commit to something, that's your word, that's your honor, that you're committing to try something, you're committing to do something versus, oh, I'll try that. That when you use the word try, right? If we look at the definition between commit and try gives you that opportunity to take a step out. You know, oh, I'm going to try it. Like for me, I'll try a certain fish, but I don't like it, so I'm not going to eat it all. But if I commit to it, then I'm going to commit to eating that whole slab of fish because I said I would. So we have to honor our word. 7 days. We can knock it out for 7 days, working on these habits. And what is the goal? The goal is to find that best version of you. So that's what you guys are working on. If you keep that at the forefront of your mind, you're going at it for 7 days. If it works for you, awesome. You're going to continue it. If you find like, you know what, this doesn't fit in my schedule right now, hey, great. You can pencil it, you can write it down, and maybe later you introduce it into your life. And this is the thing for me that I'll share. I'm constantly working on these things. Digital shutdown, I'm still working on fine-tuning my digital shutdown. There's times that I'm looking at the news or something on my phone, and it's past my digital shutdown curfew, and you know, but it's still there. It's in the forefront of my mind, and I am working on it. I'm not giving up on it. Same thing with my diet nutrition. I'm always working on my diet nutrition, but it has not fallen off. It's just something that we chip away at. And pretty soon, if we keep chipping away at it, pretty soon we're going to have that fine piece of sculptured art that we want. And that's because of all the hard work that we put into it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen just because you do it. It's going to happen because it's in the front of your mind, and you're going to continue to work on that path that you're on. It's just like the journey of, I always say, we're going to Vegas, baby. No matter what happens, nothing's going to stop us from getting to Vegas. We might hit a detour. We might get a flat tire. We might run out of gas. But we're going to do everything we can to get to our destination because we're going to partay.
Yes, yes. So as we wrap up today, I want to let everybody know, as you watch this back, that our next event is going to be during the week again. Please give us feedback, you know, if during the week is more difficult. We know it probably is through the summer months. We know it's so hot out, it's really hard just to sit and listen. So watch this in segments, give us feedback. We are going to do our next event August 27th, which is a Thursday at 6 p.m. Next month is going to be all things surrounded around work. So we're talking about work identity, work productivity, stepping out of your comfort zone, getting out of your own way, right? Sometimes we're just in our own way. We're going to talk about finding your true calling, some deep work, teamwork. We're also going to have some more guest speakers. Susan Taylor, she is a business coach, life coach, a positive psychology lover, and a speaker and a comedian.
Oh.
And also Awesome Khan is going to be helping us out this next month also with some stuff related to work. Michael and Holly are going to come back, and they're going to also be working with us this next month too. So thank you guys all for joining us. Give us feedback. You can send us messages through Optimize of Spokane and The Best Year Ever, or reach out to us personally. That would be super awesome. Thank you again, Barney, for being with us, and we honor your time, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you for everybody on Facebook. I saw Kurt and Raina and Laura and Mike Dunn and oh gosh, Rosie. And so there's a list there. I want to thank everybody, but have a beautiful night. get a fan on you or turn that AC on, and we will see you guys
Right.
all later.
And go out there and live a great story, just like Terrence's pillow says right there.
Yeah.
Live your best life, the best version of you. Let's rock this, you guys. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Bye, guys.